Welcome to all of you on behalf of the Kauai Historical Society, co-sponsored by this beautiful Hanapepe Hawaiian Congregational Church and the Hanapepe Public Library had also offered their facilities, and it was just too small because so many people are interested in the Menehune and are friends and supporters of Auntie Aletha during college. So we welcome you. The Oli just said you're like flowers and the foliage of Hawaii, and we're happy to have you here. And so please spend time with Auntie Aletha and with other members and non-members, friends of the Historical Society. I hope you'll learn a lot from her. I know you will.
Forgot me.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
The evening is fragrant with the breath of the land that has sustained many generations back to the beginning of the first settlers. It matters not from where you have come or where you may go from here, for if there is aloha in your heart, if you live aloha, then all things should be pono. We come from many different places, cultures, traditions, and religious preferences. God of many names, I believe that there is only one God. The one is Kumukahi, the source, the origin, and the beginning of time. If you will allow me, join me in prayer. We mahalo the Hanapepe Hawaiian Congregational Church and members for opening the chapel, providing a place for the evening's gathering, Tales of the Menehune. We mahalo Kauai Historical Society for hosting the evening program and preserving Kauai's history. We mahalo the beauty of Kauai and its people, especially those in attendance, the seen and the unseen. We mahalo with joy-filled hearts for the gift of our senses to enjoy the wondrous mysteries of life and the responsibility of stewardship for his garden island. God of love, we often forget the strength we have as an ohana, and may we find renewed joy and new knowledge this evening and continue to support the Kauai Historical Society, staff, directors, and programs. God of hope, we give thanks for the dreams and visions for beautiful Kauai. Let us walk in faith, for without faith there is no hope. Go before us, light our way through our evening together, and malama Kauai's mo'olelo and resources. In the name of Kaua, Kumukahi, God of many names. For those of you that don't know, I'm Aletha Kavelu Kavahine Hololeo Olimaloa Goodwin Ka Ohi, born and reared at Paliuli in Waimea Valley. My parents were William Kapahukani Olono Kainoa Ho Goodwin from Paliuli and Margaret Kamala Kamai from Makaveli Valley. Mama lived on a peninsula where the Kawaiʻula Iliahi Waimea River and Kawaikea Makaveli River merge and become Nawai Kaulana, the famous waters of Waimea that flows to the sea. My papa was raised by his mother's parents, my great-grandparents, Kapahukani Olono Li'ili'i, son of Kainoa Ho, and grandson of King Kaumuali'i. My great-grandmother, Kekua Kepali Iliahi Kaua Ikalani, was a kahuna anana, who traces her lineage to the Marquesas Island. Kavena Pukui defines kahuna anana, sorcerer who practices black magic, and counter-sorcerer as one who prays a person to death. So watch out, guys. No humbug me. Kupuna Kekua was a very powerful counter-sorcerer, kahuna, who used her supernatural powers to help those afflicted by evil spirits. Her supernatural power had to be greater than the kahuna who sent the evil spirit. Otherwise, it would boomerang. My papa was schooled to inherit his grandmother's supernatural powers. There was a lot of unrest in Hawaii. Queen Liliuokalani was dethroned and imprisoned. The kahunas went underground, forbidden to practice, and Kupuna Keakua summoned Papa to her bedside as she was dying. I'm not passing Ike Papalua to you. You have the gift of a second sight. If I breathe the mana into you, it will be a burden. Hawaii is changing. There will be a new Hawaii. Go. Even if you hear me calling you, do not return. Embrace the new religion and master the new language. When Kupuna Kekua died, all knowledge evaporated from my father's mind. The Ike Papalua was covered by a tapa. About 1979, a thief stole 90% of the family artifacts, which was cataloged by the Bishop Museum. For 3 years, I saw Papa age, but he spent time in solitude praying to God, Ka'ekahi, one whose name is too sacred to speak in the open and is used only in silent prayer by certain chiefly and kahuna families. Kumukahi, the origin, the beginning of time. Grant permission for Kupuna Kekua, my grandmother, to release and to lift the tapa, to uncover my Ike Papalua. The thief has stolen the material goods, and my death will steal Ike Papaula. Ancient knowledge must be shared with a chosen one to tell the story. Permission was granted. Papa, 80 years later, 80 years later, in 1983, I spent a year with my father as a haumana, a student. I'm the haku, the caretaker, the keeper of his ancient secrets. I don't know what secrets. Tell our story. Tell the story because the tapa has been lifted. The family home was at Paliuli, once surrounded by taro fields, later rice fields, cane fields, corn fields. Now the land lay fallow, waiting for the next crop. These fields were watered by the Menehune ditch. The kunahiki, a person who was in charge of the ditch and the source of the drinking water, and also to water the taro fields. The fields were divided into 4 sections: Ekahi, Elua, Ekolu, Eha. And the konohiki would dam the ditch and blow the conch shell one time. And those farmers that were in section 1 would open the inlet to their taro fields. And when section 1 was filled, the konohiki would then dam the ditch for the next section until all sections were filled. No water was wasted into the taro fields and back to the ditch. The ditch was free of weeds. Those living on parcels abutting the ditch were responsible to keep their areas clean and also cleaned the other open areas. The ditch is known by many names. The original name is Pe'e. Pe'e means to hide. Kauai was known to be hidden in clouds. Later was referred to as Kikiaola, water flowing swiftly from the legend King Ola, a great navigator, a road builder, and during his reign that the Menehune Ditch was built. Later, Menehune Ditch by tellers, later called Menehune Ditch by tellers of myths. Pule Ohana. My family gathered for Pule Ohana after supper, the time to give thanks, the time to pray, the time to sing, and time for each child to quote a memorized Bible verse, time to ask questions, and time for stories, which I thoroughly enjoyed my father as the storyteller. Papa told us our stories are sacred. Some stories are told only at special times of the year for special people. What does it mean that stories are sacred? Does it mean that they should be withheld or akapu? Stories that he experienced while hunting, fishing, exploring historical sites, living with his hulu kupuna, also people and places. Those stories are sacred. However, today, we must share our stories to preserve a Hawaiian history, our culture, and our traditions. We all have stories. We all have stories. What was life like when you grew up? 50 years from now, a child reading or listening to your story will be aware what life was like long, long ago. Children love stories about Menehune. And the best time for these stories are at night, because the Menehune work only at night and can finish the project before sunrise only if everyone is in the house, no peeking. The night must be quiet, very quiet. Even the dogs and chickens must be quiet. Shh. Shh. Listen. Do you hear? Hum, 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 hum. The Menehunes are lining up to pass the cut stones to build a ditch. Close your eyes and listen keenly. You may be able to hear the kani, or the sound of the rocks as they are stacked one onto the other for the wall. I was intrigued by these stories of little people, and I wanted to know more. Were the Menehune real people? I'm going to share a story with you. Those that have lived on the island for many, many years, long, long ago. There was a gentleman that had a radio program on, what was the name of that radio station up in LA? KUAI, is that it? Okay. Oh, some of you have been around for a while. He happens to be an ohana of mine. And he published a book, and he has, tales of yesteryear. But this particular one, I think, kind of sums up about the Menehune. And I'm going to share it with you. Everybody who has been in the islands for any length of time has heard of the Menehunes, who built so many useful things for the Hawaiians. Practically, every old-timer has a story to tell about them. If you were to ask one to describe the Menehune for you, the answer would depend entirely upon the person who gave it. So many beliefs surround them. Some people think of them as elves or brownies. Others will tell you they were common Hawaiians. And another belief is that they were very strong, short, about 2 feet tall, stocky people with large round stomachs who were industrious and skillful. They were helpful too, if they liked you. It is also believed that large numbers of these little people lived in the mountains and the upper valleys of all the islands when the Hawaiians first came to the south, from the south. It is said that there were more than 500,000 of them living on Kauai at one time. When a construction project was going on, they would form a double line from the distant quarry to the project and pass these huge rocks from one to another. They always worked at night, as they were shy and did not wish to be seen. Usually the project was finished in one night. If for some reason it was not completed, they never went back to finish it. They were skillful workers and engineers. They built heiaus, fish ponds, watercourses, and paved trails on each island. One of their most famous pieces of construction is on Kauai, Ola's watercourse at Waimea. It is built of evenly cut rocks, fitted together, and it still brings water to the fields on the floor of the Waimea Valley. Their favorite food was opai, which is shrimps, a freshwater shrimp, which were abundant in the streams. The Menehune played too, enjoying most of the games played by the Hawaiians. And one of their favorite sports was rolling stones over a cliff and then diving for them. They were quite quiet when they worked, and extremely noisy when they played. It is said that after they finished the watercourse at Waimea, they were so noisy during the feast that they frightened the birds on Oahu. Bands of Menehunes lived on the islands in certain valleys and mountain areas. On Oahu, they lived in Upper Nu'uanu and Manoa Valley. Many of them were still on Kauai after they had disappeared from the other islands. They became friendly with the Hawaiians on Kauai, and since there were not enough women of their own kind, some of the Menehune married Hawaiian women and had families. They lived in the forests of the upper valleys, especially Kalalau and Wainiha. This worried the Menehune king because he did not want his men to marry the Hawaiians. So he called all the men together. These differences are seen in the stone implements that were once used on Kauai, in styles of heiaus and language, and in the stories of the Menehune, long considered mythical people of Kauai. In reality, the Menehune were distinct people of an ancient time. Among the stone implements common to Kauai were two types of poi pounders, the stirrup pounder and the ring pounder. The poi pounder common to all of the Hawaiian Islands is the knob pounder. A discovery was made in recent years on the island of Oahuka in the northern Marquesas when an ancestor stirrup pounder was discovered, dating sometime between AD 600 and 1300. This type of pounder has been found only on the island of Oahuka and the island of Kauai, and thus links these two distant islands. There is a distinct pronunciation difference between Kauai's language and the rest of Hawaii. There are letters that are different, used by the natives of the other islands. Kauai's T is used for K. Tapa, kappa. Okay. R is used for L. Taro, kalo. Both taro and kalo have K and L, and T and R. W has a V sound. Y, water. Vai. My daughter's name is Vailana. And people will write V-A-I. It's Wailana to them. But to many Kauaians, the W has a strong V sound. Another example of ties with the Central Polynesia are the tales of the group of people called the Menehune, whose home was on Kauai. In recent times, the Menehune have been thought of as a group of mythical people, small in structure, who completes a project in one night. The mythical Menehune worked with great diligence, forming two lines 25 miles long to Malai Heiau at Wailua, passing rocks from hand to hand from Makaveli to Wailua. The construction of the Alikoki fish pond at Navilivili is also credited to the Menehune. The most intriguing archaeology site attributed to the Menehune craftsmen was building of the irrigation ditch with walls, dressed stones to divert water from the Waimea River to irrigate dry lands to grow taro. Papa accompanied Dr. Wendell Clark Bennett, Bishop Museum Archaeology, in the late 1920s. They documented historic sites using T.J. Thrum Historic Site Survey. Dr. Bennett, author of The Archaeology of Kauai, has a very detailed description of the Menehune ditch. Squared blocks so the stones fit closely together and present a smooth, flat surface on the river side. The size of the blocks shows great variation. Some measure 5 feet in length and other 3 feet in depth and width. The stones are from the quarry on the top of Mokihana Ridge, 8 miles distant from the ditch. It is not near a permanent stream where the stones might be floated on rafts. The stones were probably roughly dressed at the quarry, but the final work was done just before they were set in place. Only the topmost blocks of the massive stones are visible today, rare in the Hawaiian Islands. Once a wall towered 20 feet from the bed of the river up unto where the road is now. The ditch was constructed around a cliff. However, sugar plantation wanted to plant cane beyond the jutting cliff, so the cliff was dynamited. They built a tunnel. They downsized the ditch. The 20-foot wall was destroyed and the road built over where water once flowed. How much is under the road cannot be determined. A bronze plaque near the swinging bridge marks the remains of the ditch. Unlike the many images that you have heard of these little people, historical Menehunes were not small in stature, but not the stereotype leprechaun elves many think of when you talk turns to the legendary adventures and stories about the Kauai's Menehune. I believe that the Menehune name was given by the Tahitians. They were the descendants of Kauai's first settlers who journeyed from the Marquesas in the Central Pacific. Tahitians were once known as Manahune. Menehune, Manahune. They bore the name with honor until Tahiti was conquered by warriors from Raiatea, when it took on a very different meaning. Manahune became the name for a commoner, an object of ridicule or scorn. The first wave of settlers may have grown to a population of 500,000 before they were subjugated to High Priest Pa'ao. Seizing the positions of leadership, the Tahitians labeled the first settlers Menehune, a repetition of what the Raiateans had done to them. The Marquesans had no such word as Manahune in their vocabulary. In the Marquesas, the word for commoner was maka'ainana, which became the accepted word in Hawaii for commoners or a person that tended the land. The idea of a physically small race of peoples is the imagination of Westerners, and they made them into a colorful, romantic, mysterious group of men and women who lived in deep valleys and far up mountain slopes. Another reason for the growth of the Menehune myth might have been the question of an early Westerner who were curious about various structures on the island, Kauai, and also the other islands. To explain, a Hawaiian might answer like this: "Oh, they were built by the Menehune," meaning they were built by the common people of generations past. Real or not, the Menehune has made their mark on Kauai, both in legend and rock. I'm going to, I know that there are people in here, this is all new to you, but yet I know there are people in here, in this room tonight, that may have a story. And you're welcome to come at this point to share your story. No takers? Now, this was not planned for her. I just know that she has something. Introduce yourself.
Aloha, Auntie. I'm Kaua Bradford, and I'm a resident on the island of Kauai. And my family goes back many, many, many generations. I am descended, my kupuna, my ancestors, from the Kualanui Kiniakua family of natives on the island of Kauai. Kualanui Kiniakua is a very ancient name for the peoples that came from beyond. And they're what people know today as the tribe of the Mu people. And we were, and now known, and still we talk about it in our own ohana. I have my mom sitting there next to me, and we talk about our Menehune genealogy that extends from our Kualanui Kiniakua lineage. And that's where we come from. And we're still here. Our family is still here. All our extended ohana still exists. We are Menehune. We exist. And we have ohana living from one end of the island to the other end of the island, extending throughout the whole of native islands, every single island. There are living, existing, so-called Menehune, Manahune, whatever you want to call it, that is what's considered a common slave name. But we have gone beyond and survived the times today. And Tialiha, we know our families connect. A lot of our families connect. In Hawaii, all our ohana is connected by this particular lineage. Those of you that know the Kualanui Kiniakua lineage is, guess what? It's probably related to me. We are direct descendants of Papa and Wakea. And that's where we come from, and we're still here.
Okay.
We still exist, we're still surviving. And yes, we do have a lot of stories still that we have. And some of which Auntie just was talking about not too long ago, about the people that left the islands, and our ohana that left, and the ohana that stayed behind. That story still stays in our family. Yeah.
Thank you.
We do. Mahalo, Auntie.
There is a story that Kualu was the father of Ola, King Ola. So we read the stories about the Menehune. She comes from that direct line. Okay. What is your great-great-grandfather? The one that collected all of the meles? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, that's your great. Okay. I don't know how many greats. Okay. But I knew the man. I have to tell you, he was a very small man. A very small man. But when he got onto his horse, he was the tallest. He sat erect. And he lived across the river from where my mother's family lived. And we all knew that the Kualus lived back there. And my father always wondered, and he would talk to him, where did you come from? And he would chuckle. I think maybe at that time he was a little bit hila, a little bit ashamed to say he was a Menehune. But in stature, he didn't have a round stomach, okay, none of that. He was just smaller in size, but a great cowboy, okay? Anybody else have? I'm looking at my local boys around here. Has anybody seen a Menehune? Come on. Maybe we got too many Westerners in here. There are no more, not related to the Menehune. Okay. I guess I'm Menehune too, because my great-grandmother, as I told you, she traces her lineage back to Marquesas. So, we got two right here. Anybody else? Punani, you're not part Menehune? Manini? No, Hila, come. Tell us your story about your sister. Yeah, go, tell.
Yeah, so my name's Evan Menehune.
Lift up.
My family's been here a very long time too, on my dad's side. My mom came from Maui, but I grew up in Waimea. Auntie Aletha used to tell stories in the library. I grew up hearing stories from her and hearing stories from my family as well too. Auntie asked me a little bit early about it, and we could refer to one story. The Menehune Ditch has a pathway that goes right through the valley, Waimea Valley. And there are old paths. Some of the paths that people would travel on were still active even though they passed on to the next life, or the next world that they're in. So one particular story that was shared by my oldest sister, she passed away, her name was Yvonne. She used to have this person that would hit her with a stick in her middle of the night while she was sleeping. When my grandfather interviewed her to find out what was happening, he slept in the same room to see what was happening. And he woke up to see what he saw and what she saw. It was actually a shorter person, maybe about this high. That's what was described to me as I grew up, because my dad was about my height. And they said he had a long beard and a long hair. Now my neighbor, he also saw this same person, because that's how the path went through one home to the next home. So he would cry in the middle of the night saying he doesn't want to sleep in a certain room because he would encounter this person walking through the room, walking through the house. But what we learn in Christianity is, you bless, you pray, and you stop this person from crossing through. I myself never saw this person they spoke of, but I could feel this person that was there. Now, it was never proven who it was, whether it was a Menehune, or it might have been an old Chinese man or an Oriental person, but they definitely say he had a long beard and he was shorter in height, about this tall. And that was the story that I heard from my sister that saw the person back in the day. I think it was in the 1950s or something she saw it. Thank you. Thank you.
We all have stories. You may not have Menehune stories, but I always tell people that you need to record and write down your stories, because your stories will be very important 50 years from now. what is like life is today here will be very different 50 years from now. With the rising of the ocean, Kauai might be smaller. Okay? We all have stories. Some of you have put pen to paper and have published books. I applaud you for that. As a librarian, I always welcome new books. I had a youngster today, this evening. He's here because he's taking a course at the community college, and I welcome him to call me if he needs any resources, any book that he might have. I have quite a Hawaiian collection. I was a librarian at Waimea, and I have to tell you that we had moved the children's books out of a certain section. And we moved all of the Hawaiian books and South Pacific, all of the Polynesian books in that area, because they were walking off the shelves, okay? And so by moving it there, whoever was at the front desk had complete control of that room. Waimea had one of the best, I have to tell you, collections of Hawaiiana books. And then we went into digital. And they wanted us to pull everything that was out of print and send it to Lihue. No, 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 no. No, no. I don't care if you're the big hunters in Lihue. Those books were purchased for Waimea. What I did, everybody wants bestsellers, right? Everybody buys 2, 3, 4 copies to meet the demand. I buy 1 copy because it's going to be in paperback no sooner. And I spend the money on Hawaiian books. And books go out of print immediately. Immediately. I'm going to tell you, the Ni'ihau congregation books are only in Hawaiian. If you ever go to their church service, no English, all Hawaiian. Their hymnals do not have music in it, it's only words. But they needed Bibles, Baibala. So I told them I would write them a grant. We got the money. Mutual Publishing had some books, but I really wanted the American Bible Society because that's what they really use, but they're not longer printing it. It's out of print already. So when we wrote that grant in August, the book was $45. By October, it was $65, and we didn't get the money till after that. And they were soft cover. Just last week, Chris Cook comes into my office, and I said, Chris, I need some help. Do you know Mutual Publishing? Yeah, I have an account with them. They found in their back room 7 out-of-print Baibalas for the Hawaiians. The rest we have to purchase. We called Logos. Logos has 80 books. That's the last. They said it's out of print. But this is what people are using to learn the language. So, folks, any more stories? Do you have any stories? No? No Menehune stories? I kidded to my 2 women that are here, members of the church. I said, our Sunday service should be about Menehunes. We will have full house. There was so much. There was so much. And how do you condense all of these myths? The most that you find is about myths and legends. I'm part of Pa'au because my great-grandfather comes from Tahiti. His origin is Tahiti. And my great-grandmother's origin is from Marquesas. So I'm Menehune tonight. I want to thank you, and if you will join me in singing Hawaii Aloha. Anybody can start the song? Let's all stand. I cannot start. I'm groggy. Anybody want to start? I can't. Pua, can you just start for us? Yeah. Wa I e ku'one hanau e. Ku'a I vile oli no na o no lani e Hawaii aloha e hau'oli na o pio Hawaii nei oli mai na ahe makani pa mai nei mau ke aloha no Hawaii Hawaii nei oli nai na ahe makani pa mai nei mau ke aloha no Hawaii ke aloha